Now it should work. And we are live to I think that's a very first time we are live on this channel on DeFi Times. And for the very first time, I have 3 of our best friends of DeFi Times on the show. It's Mad Crypto, Criptocito, and Confident in Crypto. So we have a real Cosmos mastermind in today's episode. And before we talk about all these very exciting topics, before we talk about the DSM airdrop, before we talk about the Polkadot Parachain auctions and the Kusama bridge, I would like to ask you how you're doing and where you're tuning in from, and maybe introduce yourself. So, Matt Crypto, do you want to start?
Sure. First of all, thanks for inviting JURI. This is awesome being here with DeFi Times. I'm tuning in from Miami. I'm here for Decentral and NFT Basel, I guess. It's taking over the art scene. And I'm a content creator from Mexico for the Spanish-speaking countries and all the audience that speaks Spanish. But I also do interviews in English, so if you want to tune in, you're always welcome.
Yeah, and as always, the links are in the description below if you want to subscribe to Matt's YouTube channel or if you want to follow him on Twitter. And now I want to introduce Mr. Cosmos. Maybe he is the Cosmos YouTuber. Criptocito, once again, you visited this show uncountable times. How are you doing? How's Germany?
I'm good, bro. Yeah, everything is good. I think we also have Liam here. He's also a big Cosmos YouTuber. When we met, I think we were the only ones covering Cosmos, at least in this depth. But yeah, Cosmos was huge. I think since then, a lot of things have already come to fruition. I had Sunny on my show recently. He shared a lot about, the conversations that took place in Lisbon, for example. I think it was one of the first times that the ICF and Tendermint started to talk again, about collaborating. And then Osmosis team and Tendermint. I think everybody was kind of really, really excited about seeing everyone after so many years. And this was our goal, right? So mission accomplished with Cosmoverse. Now it's about getting back to covering the hottest and latest DeFi news, the farms, the airdrops, and all these kind of things. Liam has also a lot of great videos and tutorials. I think this helps the most to everyone also listening right now. I know Matt also has a lot about Parachains on Polkadot. He's more plugged into that ecosystem, but I think overall it was a big success. Cosmos is now finally on everyone's map. And I think this is a cool start, actually, this Cosmos Mastermind. We can have this in the future more often with different people also, just to make, everybody aware, hey, IBC works and, there's a lot of projects launching on Cosmos. So yeah, excited to be here on this first live stream and experiment. We'll see how it goes, but I already sense that, a lot of people will have a lot of questions, and I think later we can also maybe answer some community questions. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a good keyword. So we also will cover Polkadot and Kusama later on. That's why I met here. But of course, the focus is on Cosmos. And that's why Liam from Confident in Crypto is on the show as well. Hey, how are you doing, man? Such a pleasure to have you on. And where are you tuning in from?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's good to be here. It's good to finally get a lot of bright minds all together. So this should be quite an interesting live stream. I know it's your first. I think you couldn't get much better than what we've got here. We've got, some really good people. So that'll be quite interesting. I'm tuning in from Bournemouth, so UK, Southwest, sunny Bournemouth, but it's currently cloudy. So that's the UK for you. But yeah, I'm excited for today's video. Like Criptocito said, I've been doing a lot of Cosmos content. We got into it about the same time. It was funny, actually. I did a video on Cosmos, and then I realized you'd already done one about a week before Criptocito. And I think we kind of started at the same time. And I thought, we should collab. And obviously, you've been doing some amazing stuff at DeFi Times, JURI, as well. And yeah, of course, very excited to be here. Should be a really good conversation. I love what you're doing, Mad, at Polkadot, because I always need some information on that area. Because obviously, Cosmos takes up all of my time, and it's hard sometimes to do content on other ecosystems, so it's always handy to have that as well. Great to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like ABC is a very good keyword here because we kind of see a network effect. And now there's like somewhat a new project, and it gained a lot of attention due to the airdrop, the DSM airdrop. So first of all, I know CryptoCito, you claimed your airdrop today, and there were some people who might have asked like, how was it able to? How were you able to claim this airdrop? Because there was some, some people like angry about it. So could you like introduce us? How is it? How were you able to claim the DSM airdrop?
Yeah, so my dad was Moncton, as you all know. He was very, very furious that the first portal that they had, you had to insert your seed phrase, right? And that's kind of like against the whole nature of crypto. That in order to like get something, you have to provide your passphrase, your seed phrase, which is absolute no go. I think for simplicity, I also asked this to Sunny. I think for simplicity reasons, they didn't really think too much about it, but it really quickly backfired. So that was bad. I didn't, claim it in that week because there was so much confusion around it. But I think they have acted really fast. And this also shows like, oh yeah, maybe we went a bit ahead of ourselves there. And then they adjusted it really quickly and launched several portals. I think the one that I used is just so you can just claim it with your Kepler through, gofindme.com or something like that. So if you want to do this, if you're listening to this now, you haven't claimed your Desmos airdrop, go on their official Twitter, make sure you're on an official Twitter side of them, and click on the link through their official, account, because I'm sure there's a lot of scams and, fake sites that will ask you for the private keys or seed phrase. But make sure you do that, or there's articles like the one that you just shared. So you can click on these official links, connect your Kepler, add all these blockchains that you have balances on that you might be staking, Osmosis, Cosmos, Persistent, Sentinel. Like you can connect all these chains manually. You also get a little kind of like airdrop that covers the fees, because now we're on the Desmos blockchain and you can't currently buy it. So you have to have a short little balance, right? So you'll get that once you go on GoFindMe. Very kind of like intuitive, self-explaining. There's not too much to it, but at least you don't have to put in your seed phrase right now. And I think that's the big change here. And yeah, I think we had also the Desmos team at Cosmoverse. The company behind it is actually Forbo, right? So they're one of the largest infrastructure providers in the Cosmos ecosystem. I think also beyond that. And very nice people, big team, very successful, very knowledgeable also about everything in Cosmos. Because some people were yelling right away, like, oh my God, this is a scam, because of the seed phrase dilemma. But anyways, this is fixed now. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I think right now there's not even a price for DSM yet. But I think once, it comes, I mean, who doesn't like free money, right? So cosmonauts get really spoiled in the past few months. So that's another one, guys.
Yeah, and I think it was very complicated to get the airdrop unless you didn't type in your seed phrase. Of course, this was a no-go. But I also want to say that I think many people were salty. I couldn't understand that much, because at the end of the day it's free money, so just be happy about it. But more importantly, price predictions are very hard to tell, and we are no financial advisors, but it would be way more interesting to know what is Desmos actually all about. Maybe Confident in Crypto, you could give us a broad introduction to Desmos.
Sure. To be honest, Desmos isn't my speciality. I focus on DeFi and NFTs. But from what I understand, Desmos is kind of going after the decentralized social media niche. I'm sure maybe one of you can explain a little bit more in detail. But going back to the airdrop as well, what I really liked is that it was a large portion of the supply, the Genesis supply. I think it was about 20% that they allocated towards the airdrop, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of these airdrops are good, but if they're only allocating 1%, 2%, 3% of the supply, you're not actually capturing that much value from the tokens you hold. But if they're giving you 10%, 20%, 50%, Osmosis did a really good job of that. You start getting a lot for the tokens you're holding. But yeah, as for the overview of Desmos itself, I honestly haven't done that much research myself. I specifically stick to DeFi and NFTs. there's so much to cover. I feel like I can be more effective in just one particular niche. Maybe someone else can kind of explain it in a bit more detail.
Yeah, so it's like pretty interesting because I've been at ListCon a couple of it was in October or so, and Aave also announced to go into decentralized social media, and we all know the problems of centralized social media with censorship, with like banning accounts and so on and so forth. And the cool thing is that DSM is not necessarily just like the new Facebook or so, or the new Instagram. They basically want to provide the backbone. So it's like, and Aave wants to do something very similar, so that it's like also easy, like for the next projects, to build like another social media application. So there is not only Instagram, but there's also Snapchat, there's TikTok, and so on and so forth. So that's the concept behind it, and it's a blockchain, so that's why they have a token. So very exciting project in my view. But moving on, to a topic where Matt Crypto is an expert. It's about, of course, Kusama, because there have been big news. Cosmos and Kusama are bridging now, and I think this is like very, 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 very interesting. It's made through FMOS, but before we dive deeper into the details, could you give us like an introduction to Kusama? Is it just a network effect, or just a test network, or what is Kusama all about?
No. Yeah, Kusama is it's pretty much the test field for Polkadot, but it's like an actual network with actual value. And another name could be like the Pioneers Network. Kusama, it's the logo is a bird. They call it the canary bird. So when people went into the coal mines, they would send a bird to see if it was alive, it was okay to go down. But if it was dead, that was like no go to this mine. So that's pretty much the Kusama movement is like expect chaos and just like know that everything is on test, but it's like it has real value. So being in crypto, being the pioneers, being one of the first, it's always like benefit for the people who are like trying. So it's definitely a good way to get into the Polkadot ecosystem early. And it's really cool because many projects that you support through the crowd loans with your KSM, they will give you maybe access to their token sale because you supported them first and stuff like that, apart from rewarding you in tokens as well for supporting the project. So it's pretty cool, and like a lot of more people hold DOT than Kusama, but Kusama is like a really special pioneer, and right now it's onboarding one parachain each week, and I think it's gonna be incredible in a few months because it's gonna those networks, those parachains are gonna start connecting and talking to each other, and it's gonna be wild, I think.
So you basically expect a network effect of Kusama in the next couple of weeks and months, even though also we will talk about it in a minute, even though Polkadot's Parachain auctions are taking place right now.
Yeah. But they're going to be slower in Polkadot. They're going to do 5 right now, and then they're going to do another 5 later. But right now, Kusama has already like 13, 14 parachains, and it keeps onboarding one each week. So that's going to be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because it has different token holders, so governance it might be a little bit different, the outcomes of the decisions. So it's gonna be interesting to see that.
Definitely, and now I will ask you like Criptocito. So I mean, we also talked about Kusama on the show already, and Kusama is one of the most established networks in the crypto space, no doubt about that. So first of all, what is this bridging all about? And more importantly, what does that mean for Cosmos? Is Cosmos just getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day due to these developments? And how do you view like a potential network effect?
Yeah, I think first of all, what Matt just described, the architectures really show that it worked. I think it was an experiment in the beginning when they launched it, because this has never happened before. Did you have 2 main nets with real value? One basically implementing upgrades faster, and then the other one is kind of like the main net, but it's kind of like, being secured by the Canary network. And it worked. And it was also great for the price of both projects, right? KSM and DOT both went through the roof over the past months. And the Cosmos people have noticed that, right? So that's why they're also going to launch the Sega network, which is kind of like this Canary network. Best practices from Kusama and Polkadot, right? They killed it. So I think that's great. And I think that also shows that competition in the end is healthy. There's not one winner to pick. You can like Polkadot, Kusama, and Cosmos and Sagan in the future. And I think the end of the day, the question is, in the long run, how sustainable are the architectures, right? Because both Polkadot and Cosmos, they're on the other ends of the spectrum, right? Polkadot started with this kind of like parachain, relay chain in the middle, and then you pack parachains to it, which means that you have incredible dependencies from that relay chain. And Cosmos started from the other end. They said the Cosmos hub should never be the center of the interchain. Rather, you have sovereign chains building up, and then later maybe you add interchain security, right? Which is kind of like what Polkadot started with. I think both might work. Polkadot also will have para threads, which would make them much more scalable, and then you can have eventually tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of blockchains. But I think in terms of bridging, and that's what Composable is proposing here, I think it's one of the parachains on Kusama, right? They want a slot there. Picasso is their chain. And I think what they try to do is to bridge Substrate, which is kind of like the SDK framework on Polkadot and Kusama, and bridge that to Cosmos, right, through IBC. So I think that's something really interesting, because now you could offload all the traffic from Kusama and Polkadot onto Cosmos, right? And Cosmos right now doesn't have shared security, so people could just launch their own chains or do whatever they want there. And you have native dexes such as Osmosis, so you will have a lot of like spillovers from there. I don't know how it's going to be like in a couple of months when this bridge goes live. I don't even know what's the current stage of it, but I think Substrate compatibility is really great for Cosmos, because then it kind of like provides an alternative for new projects that want to launch on Polkadot or Kusama to just use the bridge and then, gain access to the Cosmos ecosystem. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Also, projects like FMOS are going live that bring in full EVM compatibility. And then you have this interoperable network, which is what I'm really excited about, and I know all of you are, is interoperability between all these ecosystems, all these chains. And then in the long run, you have a healthy crypto economy without having to say, oh, no, my chain is going to win, your chain is a scam. In the end, we'll have all these chains coexisting. And I think that's the exciting future that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, we're all going to make it, I would say. But I think like a very interesting point you mentioned is Interchain Security. And this is actually the next point of this discussion. So contrary in crypto, I mean, like you are in the Cosmos ecosystem from the very, very beginning. So could you give us like a quick introduction what Interchain Security is all about?
Yeah, sure. So Interchain Security is very exciting, first of all, for ATOM. And I think as well, we're going to see other chains implement it. So I don't think it's just going to be exclusive to the Cosmos Hub. But obviously, initially, we're looking at the Cosmos Hub here, providing security for smaller chains. So at the moment, everyone that's building on Cosmos are chains or blockchains that are able to secure their chains with a token. They're able to onboard validators. Basically, they have the resources, the know-how, or the connections to bootstrap a new chain, essentially. But the problem is some chains, and this is what we see with Polkadot with the parachains, right? Some chains aren't able to get that security from the get-go. So Interchain Security is basically leveraging the validator set of the Cosmos Hub to secure chains which couldn't otherwise get secured by themselves, or maybe there's not enough capital there to give them the security that they need. So that's the whole point of Interchain Security. It basically takes the ATOM token, it continues to secure the Cosmos Hub, and then it can simultaneously secure other chains. And just like when you validate on the Cosmos Hub, you put those ATOM tokens on the line for validating. So if you do have anyone who's a bad actor, their ATOM gets slashed in the same mechanisms that you see on the Cosmos Hub. What's really exciting, though, is the fact for ATOM holders, that means we can get additional yield for staking our ATOM with particular validators that will then secure other chains. And that's basically what we're going to see, first of all, is the full Cosmos validator set securing other chains. And then those chains might provide tokens to the validators who will then give those tokens to the stakers. So you could get tokens just like you would with a Parachain auction, except for it's done in a different concept through staking and then those ATOM tokens securing other chains. Obviously, after that, we have a few other versions or iterations coming. So we have Interchain Security, where select validators will secure select chains. And then you have sort of a situation where you can use the validator sets of two different chains to secure each other. So it's sort of going into like V0, V1, V2. And there's loads of information out there if you want to sort of look into that into more detail.
Yeah, definitely. And
let me add one thing to that. I think it's really, really important to understand that this feature is probably going to be the long-term value accrual for the Cosmos hub as a sovereign chain, right? Because this is a big question. Like, if you, like in Polkadot, you have the relay chain, right? Which is where DOT is residing. On Kusama, you have the same, where KSM is living on. But in Cosmos, you don't really have any dependency on the Cosmos hub, which is where ATOM is living, besides the fact that it's first mover. It has the biggest kind of like fan base, I would say, the biggest community, even though other projects are catching up a lot, right? Terra even has a bigger market cap than Cosmos in that sense. But I think in the long run, if the Cosmos hub just positions itself as the center of the interchain that provides services for other chains without having to be forcefully dependent on it, such as Interchain Security, right? It's a kind of like open system that people can say, hey, the Cosmos hub is pretty secure, around $10 billion that are backing it up in a giant community. Why don't we borrow security from there? Or you have IBC routing where you could get traffic through the Cosmos hub instead of having to set up individual IBC channels. Like, those are all things where ATOM could play a huge role. And I think the long term, it's really important to understand this is the value accrual for ATOM. Gravity DEX, I think we're very excited because this was also in the time when Osmosis just launched, so we didn't know, how it's going to play out. I think Gravity DEX has been a bit of a fail, actually a big fail. Never really gained traction. I think they also discussed this in Lisbon to potentially launch a sovereign chain for the Gravity DEX and then kind of like get that out of the Cosmos hub. But I think that's also going to be up to governance to decide. But anyway, I think this is really, really important to understand. I hear a lot of YouTubers and other people talking about how pointless ATOM is in Cosmos. But in fact, there's a lot of ways to accrue value for ATOM with the rising IBC adoption and rising kind of like mainstream adoption of Cosmos itself in terms of the technology. So I think that's really important to understand.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would just like to add, sorry, JURI, but
Go ahead.
Interchain Security also like allows projects. It's not that they cannot secure their own chain, but it makes them have other token models like non-inflationary, for example. Like Akala, there's some chains that have their own collators that are the validators for Parachains, but there's some other chains that don't even need that. And that allows them to do different token models that can get interesting as well for a blockchain.
So what I want to ask you guys is like to get like a good overview for all the people who may be new to Cosmos, because Criptocito, you mentioned it already. When I entered the Cosmos ecosystem and I talked to many guys from the Ethereum ecosystem, they always said the tokenomics of ATOM are not good at all. So Interchain Security will, in your view, will it be like the main driver for the valuation of ATOM?
In my view, yeah. I think in my view, it will be one of the main drivers. I think there's also a lot of interchain use cases that I haven't really understood yet, simply because I'm not too technical and understand all the little, features that ATOM could be used for. But I think interchain security is one thing that I understand and that I think, at least on a high level, and I know like, hey, this makes actually sense. I think IBC routing, like I said earlier, is another one. Like, and I think those could be the biggest ones, but I think there's also other ones that I don't have on my radar yet, but I'm sure that, as IBC adoption grows, there's potentially going to be more ideas that come up also from the developer scene. But yeah, I think that's going to drive a lot of demand for Atom, and makes a lot of cosmonauts happy, because like I said, so far it has been mostly, I like Cosmos technology, I like the cosmonaut community, speculation on all these things, which is nothing bad. I think 98% in crypto is still only speculation, right? ADA made it to almost 100 billion market cap with just a mainnet, without anything, without smart contracts, without anything.
Just a meme.
Yeah. And then Solana, ADA reached a market cap of 45 billion in 2018, in the first week of January 2018, without any. They were still in ERC20 token, right? So I think that's crypto is 1% rational. The rest is just speculation and ideas and future potential scenarios that might never even take place. But given that Cosmos is around for so long, it has pioneered so many things. Polkadot doesn't even have their interoperability standard live yet. IBC already works since half a year. So I think there's many things that Cosmos has pioneered, has proven to be legit. Many teams involved. It's not just tendermint, it's also informal system led by the co-founder of Cosmos, Ethan, right? There's other companies now. Osmosis is doing big things. Sika, Strangelove from Jack Zampolin, right? So many companies behind that all kind of like now start to like accelerate, also have revenues and hire more people. And I think there's going to be a lot of sustainable outcomings from that. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on the Cosmos Hub in the longer run, especially with this new pivot now, away from DeFi stuff, Gravity DEX and those things, and more towards focusing on providing interchain services for other chains.
Yeah, and to give you like an overview of the roadmap of Interchain, so when to expect Interchain Security, we had Ono Akpolat from Interchain on the show 2 days ago, and the procedure of like launching Interchain Security will consist of like 3 stages, and the last one is expected for like Q3, I think. If I don't want to say something wrong, but like Q3, Q4, 2022. So in a year from now, Cosmos will be entirely different. So think about that. And I think like especially staking is now more attractive than ever before. But of course, no financial advice. And also no financial advice. I mean, there is more than just Cosmos. So let's get back to the topic where Matt Crypto is like the expert. Let's talk a little bit about the Parachain auctions of Polkadot. We talked about it already, but now let's dive deeper, because like we have the first winner and also the second winner. The first winner was Akala. The second one was Moonbeam, I think. So Matt, how did you experience the Parachain auctions? And yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Of course, it's a pretty epic time for the Polkadot community, because it's starting to happen. Like the actual promise is starting to take place. It's already proven on Kusama. Like I said, we have like 14 parachains there already running, but Polkadot is the center. I've seen like a Messari report that Polkadot is like the token that like the most amount of investment funds hold. And yeah, Kala won the first one. That it's like a DeFi hub. It's substrate based, but it will have an EVM compatibility later. That's called EVM Plus. That's gonna be interesting to see. And yeah, Moonbeam, it's an EVM parachain. It's like super compatible with everything EVM. Like they already have Moonriver running. Moonriver has been like really great. It has gotten a lot of traction. Like Chainlink is already deployed there. The Graph is already deployed there. There's Sushi Swap, and there's many bridges that you can also like move funds through to the Binance chain, to the Avalanche, to Polygon. So it's really interesting to see that starting to happen. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the other winners. Many of the projects have proven themselves on the Kusama chain, so they're gonna have an easier way into the ecosystem. But many other projects are gonna get interesting in the future, like Engine, the NFT game token that's on Ethereum. it's creating a parachain also for Polkadot. It's called Infinity, and they are participating in the auctions for Polkadot as well. So that's gonna be an interesting ecosystem, I guess. I know, for example, so there's a DeFi project. What's the name? The money market. That's like the competition for Aave. Compound. I know they're already building also like a substrate based chain. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Like, of course, I bet on that technology, but the people as well in the Polkadot ecosystem, and Gavin Wood created the EVM, and it's already like the most used tool, I think, in the blockchain world. And now he created this substrate ecosystem, and it's gonna get interesting. Let's see when the intercommunication protocol, it's called the XMC. It's like the way that the parachains can talk to each other in Polkadot. That's gonna be interesting. It's like the IBC for Polkadot. It's XCM. So it's gonna be interesting to see when you can build composed smart contracts of different assets and different tools of different parachains. And I would like to add that what we talked before of the bridge that they're building to the Cosmos ecosystem is not only the Evmos chain that they're gonna bridge to, because the composable team already has a tool that bridges many chains. It's called Mosaic, and it's all EVM chains, and that's where they're gonna add Evmos. But they're also building this thing called Centauri Bridge, and that's gonna be like a chain that like a palette. This composable team is building like different palettes for different DeFi functions. So like developers don't have to build them on their own. They can just like plug into the tools that are already built. And Centauri is gonna be one of these, and the team is working with the composable team is working with Parachain, with Osmosis too, and Tendermint, and the IBC teams, and they're gonna create this thing called the BFI, the Bridge Efficiency Enabling Finality Yielder. That's gonna be a light client for Picasso and Cosmos, and that's gonna be what allows the communication. So apart from the Evmos, Osmosis, it's planned to be like the first connection through the Picasso parachain. So it's gonna be interesting because many of the parachains of Kusama like have raised a lot of funds. Many raised like 200,000 Kusama, but Picasso, it didn't get as much attention, I guess, and they raised like 100,000 or something. So it's gonna be interesting to see when they launch, because they're building really cool tools, and it's not like very well known, I guess. But this is gonna be epic. I think the Cosmos and the Polkadot ecosystem connecting. It's just gonna be like connections everywhere in the future. Like interoperability is real right now. Like it's crazy. Like I said, like moving from Moonriver to Binance to Polygon to Avalanche, and then the second layers as well for Ethereum, right? Like Optimism and Arbitrum. So that's gonna be really epic to move funds really fast and really quick. And it's gonna be crazy how many things we can do if like smart contracts can talk to each other through chains and stuff like that. Not only move assets, but it's gonna be like the name composable. You can just, it's like the best thing in crypto, right? Like the Legos that you can build on top of each other and create totally new things, but based on technology that's already built by someone else.
Yeah, indeed. I think the space becomes more and more interoperable. And I think that would be like the most epic thing if we could see like a connection between Polkadot and Cosmos long term. But I'm interested. So who of you participated in the Parachain auctions, and what was your project? So I just delegated all my DOT to Akala. Safe bet, guys, safe bet. But yeah, what were your strategies?
Well, I supported Akala and I supported Moonbeam. They're like one of the strongest, but talking about returns, I don't know how good it's gonna be because they're the most popular. So the most amount of people are gonna crowd loan to them. So the token distribution is gonna be between too many people and not many tokens probably. But they're like some of the best projects, definitely. Like Moonriver is like the chain is like the community is exploding and the people are deploying like crazy on Moonriver. Akala is really good. It has like an alliance with a fintech in the US that it's really strong, and they like promote through like big like YouTuber influencers like Mr. Beast and stuff like that. So they're gonna be able to use the fintech app and use like Akala's DeFi hub to get yield on their money without even knowing that they're touching the Polkadot ecosystem or crypto even. But yeah, many other projects are really cool that are coming up, and maybe they're not as hyped, but have a lot of potential. I saved some of my DOT. Let's say I spent like 60% of my DOT. I put it in like Akala and Moonbeam, but I'm saving a little bit for the other parachains. That Infinity is one of my favorite right now with the metaverse hype, NFT hype, and there's another one called BitCountry that's gonna be like another like metaverse focused chain. So that's gonna be interesting to see.
And you confident Crypto and Criptocito, did you participate, and what have been your projects?
I can go first. So yeah, I mean, I participated mostly in Moonbeam and Akala. Obviously, they're the biggest two. They're the safest two, especially if you're coming into the ecosystem not knowing all of the specific details. Obviously, you said, Mad, that Moonbeam and Akala is distributed across a lot of contributors, so the tokens that you receive isn't going to be as significant as, say, some of the smaller ones that might do really well. And I think with the Moonbeam one, they actually did a smaller allocation of the Genesis supply for the crowd loan as well compared to Moonriver. But I think Moonriver, right, was like really successful. I mean, I wasn't following the Kusama parachains in a lot of detail, but what I saw is like, people made a lot of money. So they probably saw that Moonbeam and said, okay, we probably gave too much that time. So that's kind of like the way I looked at it when I contributed to them. Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting because like I said, if you support projects on the Kusama parachain, they will, some of them, if they have token sales, they will give you access. And it's an interesting thing to know that in the Take Flight event for Moonbeam, you could buy a 10,000 Glimmer for $2,500. But if you wanted to get that reward, just like crowd loaning DOT, you would have to crowd loan like 3,000 DOT, like $150,000. So it's gonna be interesting to see in the launch. And I didn't mention it, but with Kusama, like the chains could like onboard, they can onboard the parachains really quickly. But with Polkadot, they have to wait until December, and all the chains are gonna onboard at the same time. So it's not as important to get the first chain here in Polkadot like it was on Kusama, because you could deploy faster. But yeah, next year, like January, is gonna be like the start, I think, of the Polkadot ecosystem growth.
Yeah, and I think we still have some times right now, because there were some questions also from the community. So if you guys would be open, like to open to some questions. So if you have like a question in the chat, please let us know. So there's like one question about the Scheiden network. I don't know it. So if one of you knows the project, please go ahead.
Yeah, Scheiden is also a parachain for Kusama. They have a parachain also for Polkadot. It's called Astar Network. They're also like a smart contract layer 1. They're EVM compatible, and they're also WASM compatible. So that's gonna be really interesting. They're building a bridge to secret network, I think, and that's gonna be really cool as well. I think it has a special, like, fundamental, like, technology. They have this thing called DApp staking. So if you're a dev that is deploying on Shiden or Astar, you get like staking rewards for deploying the app there. So fundamentally, I think it's really good. It has some good partnerships, but Moonbeam has really, really good partnerships. I think that's like a really strong point, and it's like fully focused on EVM compatibility. But yeah, many people say that WebAssembly is like the future. I know Near and like many Cosmos use it as well. So that's gonna be interesting. I think it's a good bet to not go fully on only EVM chains, but diversify on other programming languages or virtual machines, I guess.
Yeah, I agree here, even though I'm like a big fan of EVM. And last but not least, I also want to like grab this interesting question from a couple of minutes ago. CryptoCito, I think like you're like keen to answer this question because you know more things about Cardano than I do, and I've been a big Cardano bear, but you were like always like chill, bro. There is some development on Cardano. So Aider versus Polkadot, what do you prefer, Cardano or Polkadot?
That's a tough one. I don't have anything against either of them, but I'm personally extremely like way more bullish on Cosmos and the ecosystem. I think what I like, because I've been tracking Cardano since 2017, and I've seen, you know, them coming from 0 to 1 with their mainnet launch in July 2020 when Shelly went live, and I always thought like, you know, this is a legit I still think it's a legit project. The only thing that I'm really, really bearish on is that they don't care at all about interoperability, and they're kind of like in their own world, in their own kind of like bubble. And I don't understand this, right? And I think Charles Hoskinson, you can think about him what you want. I'm sure he's very smart. He's a mathematician. He is how he is. I think a lot of people find him extremely weird, but the fact that, you know, he managed to just like create this cult around Cardano, and, you know, hundreds of thousands of holders, all these big VCs now suddenly in late 2020 started to go really heavy on it. Price wise, it did really well. I bought my first ADA at like 2-3 cents. So I, you know, even though I sold most of my ADA, I have nothing to complain about from a price performance perspective. Just from a utility perspective and ecosystem perspective, I'm not as bullish on Cardano as I am on Polkadot, and I'm not as bullish on Polkadot as I am on Cosmos. That said, I made also a video, that was also my entry into Cosmos, where it's like, okay, I had these crazy gains with DOT and with ADA. I also bought my first DOT really early on at like $2-3. I'm like, okay, what is the next DOT? What is the next ADA, right? And that's how I actually stumbled upon Cosmos. But yeah, between the two, personally, also given that ADA, I think, is still way bigger in market cap than DOT. I'm not sure if it's still the case right now, but I think DOT definitely has more room to grow from here on compared to Cardano. And I think also just the fact that they focus on interoperability and Cardano does not focus on it at all. More bullish on Polkadot. But I'm also trying to like get people from these ecosystems on my channel and interview them to get a feeling like, you know, where does the Cardano ecosystem stand right now? Where does Solana stand right now? Where does Polkadot stand right now? Or Near, right? I think all these ecosystems have something unique. And then from there, the community and myself, we can take our own decisions, like where do we invest our money and what products do we start using. But yeah, between the two, Polkadot for sure.
Yeah, and like one, I think there's like one last question we can grab, and I think that's a very interesting one, and it's like also like for me like one reason why I like Polkadot more than Cardano, because like during the Polkadot Parachain auctions, yeah, you were able to delegate your DOT to a project, and I did this like to Akala, and the cool thing is that I received liquid dots. So when the Parachain auctions are over, I can immediately dump them and still have like exposure to Akala, but I can like seek exposure to like a more stable asset, like a stablecoin. So somebody is asking you, Matt, what is your opinion on these liquid dots?
I think it's a really good utility. Like many people with the Polkadot parachains, they were doubting that 2-year lock, it's too much for them. I think it's good because it makes people hold the token, but I think it's a great utility because you can use that liquid dot, you can use them on DeFi for many different things, like take out a loan, provide liquidity, or many other things. So it's interesting. But I don't know at the long run. I don't know if I'm a super big fan of liquid staking because it kind of increases supply with not the real token. But yeah, we will see. I think it has great utility for people because they don't have to wait and stuff like that. Like you said, you could just crowd loan your dot, and you will receive, when the Parachain is launched, you will receive the Akala tokens and you will receive your liquid dot tokens. So you could sell your liquid dot tokens for dollars, or you could buy with those liquid dot tokens more dot and put it in another crowd loan. So you can do like many degen things, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the beauty of DeFi, all these degen things. And yeah, I think like also like Cosmos is pretty cool right now because of this like crazy liquidity rewards on Osmosis, for example, and all those things. So there's a lot to cover. And I think this was like an amazing episode. Thank you guys so much for participating. It was a pleasure. And I think we should do this more often. And guys, make sure to follow Matt Crypto on Twitter, to follow CryptoCito on Twitter, to follow Confident in Crypto on Twitter, and subscribe to their YouTube channel. And with that being said, I hope I see you soon, guys.
See you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.